Hey, what's going on YouTube? Thank you for coming back to another episode of Brilliancy. And today I want to talk about black men dating white women. I'm hoping this video is not going to be extremely controversial, but you know, it may be, whatever. My video with the most views on my channel, on this channel, is my why do black men prefer light skin or white women. And I made that video back when I was a junior in college. And it's crazy to think, you know, however long ago that was, that this issue is still an issue. So I don't get on Twitter a whole lot, but I hopped on this morning and I saw somebody tweeted out something. It was a retweet from Baller Alert. And Baller Alert said, Redskins, the football team, Lyndon Antonio Trail asked his followers, why do black athletes marry white women? And then they posted a response that they said a Miami Dolphins player posted, but I think now they know that this guy does not play for the Miami Dolphins, which is not, it's neither here nor there. So please excuse me from clearing my throat, you know, weather change. So the person who responded to this, his name is Maserati Rick. That's problem number one. And what he says, it irritated me to make this video. So he said, the answer is simple, brother. Most of the sisters were raised in broken homes and they don't have proper guidance to how they should treat a man. So they mess up a lot in relationships. The biggest difference is a white woman knows her position and accepts her role as a woman and let her man lead. Black women believes it's 50-50 and you have to be uneducated to ever think such a thing. Black women are stubborn, closed-minded, always want to argue and be the boss. Men don't like that S word, especially if you're successful, young black athletes, especially if you're successful. Young black athletes are looking for a woman to submit. Do they part and they handle business? Men needs peace of mind, and you don't get that with black women. He then responded later, I guess after he got flack for what he said. He said, just leave it as it is. The biggest problem with some women is that they can never take responsibilities for their actions. They hate to admit when they are wrong, and you can never get better at anything unless you can admit your fears and mistakes. How would I be a better football player if I'm not coachable? Black women are not coachable. Let's put it that way. So if we want to talk about mistakes, we can talk about all these grammatical mistakes that this man wrote in this response. This was on Facebook. So the first thing that irritated me was the grammatical issues within all of this. I mean, as an adult, I mean, spell check is free. But anyway, this response bugged the crap out of me. Now, I don't intend to offend anybody with anything that I have to say in this video. And if you're sensitive to race discussions and black, white people type stuff, just don't even watch and just save yourself some time. Now, everyone has a right to feel how they feel, just like I have a right to feel how I feel. And it irritates me as a black man when I see other black men downing, specifically talking about black women. I don't like to see black men down other black women as a way to raise another race. I don't like that. I don't like when you try to give your rationale for why you date outside of your race. When your rationale is that all these negative stereotypes. Because essentially that's all they are. And I've made videos on stereotypes. And we all know with every stereotype, there is truth in every stereotype. But it really takes an ignorant person to believe that stereotypes are applicable to an entire race. I mean, or to an entire gender. You really have to be ignorant to believe that that is true. Clearly, this man is ignorant, and that's obvious in the way that he writes. But it bothers me because he's not the only man who thinks this way. He's not the only black man who feels this way about black women. And it's not something I can ever really probably understand, so I probably shouldn't try to understand it because I am one of the few who were raised, one of the few men, black men, I guess you could say, who may have been raised in a two-parent household. My mother and my father were together until my father passed in 2011, and then she remarried after, you know, a couple years after he had passed. And I know that hasn't been everybody's experience, but I don't think it's fair to say that black women as a whole are all from broken homes. Like, I don't think that's cool. And even to say that most sisters are from broken homes, I don't even know if that's an accurate statement either. And saying that they don't have proper guidance as to how to treat a man, there are plenty of men out here who don't have guidance on how to treat a woman. Because I mean, if we're really gonna be honest, there's faults on both sides. Both genders mess up relationships. You know, let's be clear. Let's not act like black men are on a pedestal. Let's not act like black women are on a pedestal. We all mess up in our relationships. So I don't think it's cool to try to put all the blame on women. And I know that this guy has got to be immature, because only, like I said, an ignorant and immature man would think this way. A real man can take responsibility for their actions and can identify issues that other men are causing in relationships. I don't understand how you can call yourself a man and not be able to say that some of these issues that he's pointing out, I don't understand. You can say you're a man and then say that these issues are only because of the women and their upbringing and their lack of guidance or their lack of love from a father figure or something like that. Like, I don't understand how you can call yourself a man and still see the world like that. And the whole thing about play her position thing, you know, and I'm not a black woman, but, you know, that still almost rubbed me the wrong way. Like, what is a black woman's position? When you say she doesn't play her position, what does that mean? Because, I mean, you know, submission, I mean, my wife and I had this talk with our pastor when we were in premarital counseling about being submissive and all of that kind of stuff. And the theory is the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck. The head can't move without the neck. And, you know, I do believe that. Now, as far as submission goes in relationships, in marriage, I'll just say marriage, I don't believe that everything I shouldn't tell my wife to do anything. I don't believe that everything I ask her to do, she should do just because she's supposed to be submissive. I don't want to be with a woman who doesn't have a mind of her own, who can't think for herself. I don't think any man, well, I ain't gonna say that. Clearly there are some men who want that. And that probably what this all comes from is he's probably a weak man who can't handle a strong-minded woman who knows what they want. I don't believe that a woman's position is to just play the background. I don't believe that. If we're married, well, I'm saying if, even though y'all know I'm married. If we're married, if we're in a relationship, it is a 50-50 partnership. We both got to get 50. And granted, we always aren't going to be able to get 50. But there should always be this pull, this tug that we're doing where we're both still trying to work together. You know, even if I'm giving 60 right now, you giving 40, we're still working towards a common good. But it should not always be unbalanced in our levels of effort or our levels of love or, you know, so on and so forth. You know, he says black women are stubborn, closed-minded, always want to argue and be the boss. And, you know, there are women like that exist. There are men like that exist. You know, every person has their flaws. But also, if you feel like all black women are everything you've listed, you have to check yourself. And I think I may have said this in another video. When you start to notice a trend in the kind of person that you're dating or the kind of people who are approaching you or the kind of people that you're in a relationship with, if you're noticing a trend, you have to ask yourself, what is the common denominator in all of this? The common denominator is always you. You're doing something to either attract or accept the kind of things you're getting from people that you don't want or that you don't like. If I'm always getting girls who are hoes, I probably shouldn't say that out loud like that. If I'm always getting girls who are promiscuous, if you're a girl and you're always getting a guy who's a cheater, it's something about you that's attracting that energy. Now, you can't help who's attracted to you, but you can totally control who you accept. So more than likely, every black woman that this man has dated has had those same characteristics, but he needs to check himself to figure out why is it that is the kind of characteristics I'm attracting. And more than likely, like I said, he's probably a weak man. So anytime a woman who came along that could not fall into that category and who was willing to push his definition of what a black woman should be or what a woman should be, he probably didn't want to have anything to do with that kind of woman. And I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. So for anybody who is feeling like I don't date X because of they're always A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you need to check yourself and figure out why is it that that's the only thing I'm seeing? Why is that the negative perception that I have of this race or this gender? Well, not this gender, this race or this type of person. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and act like there's probably not I don't want to use the word trend, but I mean, I feel like it is maybe, it feels like it can be common to see black male athletes with a woman that is not black. But like I said in that video that I made when I was in college, it's all about what you choose to pay attention to. It's easier, I believe, as a black person to see another black person who's not with a black person than it is to acknowledge a black person who's with a black person. You know, I don't know statistics and I don't feel like looking them up, but are there black men who only date white women? Yes. Are there black men who only date black women? Yes. I don't think that there's any issue with having a preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because when I was dating, I had standards. I had preferences. I advise everyone to have standards and have preferences. But when your standards and preferences preferences all come down to the color of somebody's skin, that is a problem. For you to say, I can't date you because you're whatever, that's not okay. Your preferences and your standards should come into play when it comes to personality traits, life goals. That's the kind of thing that your standards and your preferences come into play. They don't come into play with your ethnicity or your race. That's just my view. Now, people have physical preferences, and those I can sometimes understand, but even still with those, that can be a little bit much too. But for me, at the end of the day, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having preferences, but you don't have to put down somebody else in order to validate your preferences for somebody else. Like, that's just, it's not needed. So for you to be a black man and to say, I date white women because black women are and everything you're saying is negative, that's not cool. It's okay to just say, it's just my preference to date this kind of person. It's okay to say that. And if people ask you, why not just give positive traits for the whatever it is that you have an interest in, as opposed to giving the negative traits on why you don't date something else? I mean, it's sad that black men look at black women this way. I don't know about any other race because I'm not a part of any other race, but I hate that, because what unfortunately happens, it seems, is it becomes a cycle type thing. And you have a black woman who sees a black man talking like this, and then that's going to validate to her why she shouldn't date black men anymore. And therefore, she starts talking that way, which then makes another black man see her talking that way. I think it's like a cycle type thing. You see how, I was not about to say Pacific. You see how a specific person kind of acts, and then you base that whole race off that one person. Like, that's not what you do. And that is what immature people do. So here's a word of advice. Those of you who are still out there in the dating world, if you ever come across somebody who has this kind of rhetoric about the kind of person that they date, run fast. Just run fast. Don't even bother trying to engage them in any kind of conversation. Just leave. Because it's a waste of your time, because that person is clearly showing you their level of intelligence. They're clearly showing you that, and it's better for you just to accept it and move on. Black women, speaking to you specifically, don't think that all black men look at y'all this way. Don't think that all men look at you this way. For anybody, don't ever think that a specific person's opinion about your race, your gender, whatever, don't think that that's how the world feels. And don't allow that to be the blanket that you place on everybody else, and you just assume that that's how everybody else feels, because that's not fair either. That was another issue I had to deal with when I was dating, is because of how other guys treated the girls that I came in contact with, I therefore had to deal with the repercussions of whatever that situation was, because they laid a blanket over all men, thinking that all men were a specific way, and that's not fair either. So those are just my thoughts on black men dating white women. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want to date outside your race, date outside your race. I mean, at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. But you don't have to put down anybody to talk about what makes you happy. I just don't think that that's necessary. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. What y'all think about this conversation. If you saw the tweets or if you saw the Facebook post, how it made you feel. I would like to hear from the black women how it makes them feel. Anybody who dates out their race for any particular reason, if you're willing to share that, I would love to read those kind of comments. And y'all let me know what y'all think about this. There'll be some new videos coming soon, but for now, make sure you like, rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Brilliancy. If you need to send any emails, send them to scatterbrilliancy@yahoo.com, and I'll be seeing y'all soon. Peace.